Advisors, here's a quick video on how to become more likable and trustworthy in the first meeting with prospective clients, and also how to get them to open up more. And you can actually do this by continuing to do something that you're probably already doing, that we're both doing, and I'm going to share that in this video. If this is your first time here, I'm Dave, and I own an advisory firm, Streamline with Tim, and we've been growing rapidly, so we created this channel to share, and it's a weekly email as well, to share some of the things, the best practices we're doing to see that growth. So we both know how important it is to develop both the technical side of our job of being an advisor, but also we need to develop the communication part as well. Because if we're a level 10 out of 10 on the technical side and we're the smartest advisor out there, but if we're only a 3 out of 10 on the communication side, we're gonna be perceived by people as a 3 out of 10 advisor, unfortunately. So it's critical that we focus and try to get better at first meetings and also just how to communicate effectively. Advisors, being who we are, often focus a lot on the facts and we put a lot of importance, high importance on being accurate and correct, which is very important. And in the first meeting, we wanna make sure we're obtaining the facts and we're getting everything correct. And sometimes that'll cause us to put the feelings in second place. But here's the trick to get better at both the facts and the feelings. So you might already be listening to different podcasts out there, right? Where the host will interview a guest. And the really good hosts, they're able to do something that not every host can do, but they can get their guests to open up and sometimes get very personal. And think about it, if they can do this with someone who's sharing personal, really close to the heart details with thousands of listeners, we should at least be able to have someone open up in a one-on-one conversation, a confidential conversation. So I'll give you a few podcast examples to check out, and then also a few examples of questions we ask in the first meeting coming up in this video. But for step one, for you, here's the action steps. Keep listening to your podcasts that you like, but pay extra attention, not just on the content, but how the host is asking questions, or what type of tonality or emotion does the host have when they do ask those important or personal questions? What does their voice sound like? And what do they do? What do they seem to do to get people to open up? And if you're not doing this currently or don't have a podcast of a host that does this really well, here's a few examples. And the goal here is listening to the skill of asking questions and the tonality. So one of them, you probably heard of Carl Richards. He does a great job when he's interviewing others. Also non-financial related is Charlie Rose. Those interviews, he's a master at this. Tim Ferriss podcast, those are super long, but he has a lot of, he gets people to open up. And then also Oprah Winfrey's Soul Something podcast would be worth listening to if there's any guests that you're interested in. And as an example of questions to ask in the first meeting, how we're doing it at Streamline, let's say a client comes in and says their goal is to retire in a year. And instead of asking, why do you want to retire in a year? What if you asked it in a way that's something like, that's exciting. I'm curious, what do you think you could do in retirement that you can't do now? And then another example could be, rather than asking, what concerns do you have in retirement? Maybe you could try something like, when it comes to thinking about your retirement, are there any worries or concerns that come to mind as your, maybe what things that you'd want to avoid? So those are just two examples. Let's try using some of these podcasts that we're already listening to become more likable and become better at building rapport and connection in the first meeting. And if you want more communication ideas for financial advisors, be sure to join the weekly email list below and subscribe to this channel so that I can continue to share some of the stuff that's working for us at Streamline. Take care.